Joining us now, Lieutenant General Tom McInerney, who's a Fox News military analyst, and Mark Thiessen, who's a former chief speechwriter to President George W. Bush and a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. And so, Mark, you know, as somebody who was in politics for a long time, the soundbite we played there had 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats, and they were taking heat equally from both sides about this announced strategy.
Yeah, I think nobody thinks this plan is going to work. Not Republicans, not Democrats, not the generals, not the American people, not the coalition partners. I mean, that's a pretty bad situation for the president to be in. But the problem we have, Megan, is the plan has to work. We have no choice. We cannot wait until 2017 to take on the threat from ISIS. And I know there's a lot of people out there saying, I know we got to deal with ISIS, but I don't trust President Obama. Well, you know, I remember my old boss, Don Rumsfeld, once said, you go to war with the army you have, not the army you wish you have. Well, you also go to war with the commander-in-chief you have and not the commander-in-chief you wish you had. And the reality is there's consequences of action and there's consequences of inaction, and the consequences of inaction could be catastrophic.
But General Mack, is he setting the troops up to fail here, whether advertently or inadvertently?
Megan, you hit it spot on. He is setting up failure. We do not have a strategy. We have not even called it provide comfort or whatever. We don't have a name for it. We don't have a strategy. And so he's doing these things that are tactical, but they don't have a strategic end game, and that's our problem. And we haven't, in almost a month now, we've flown 176 sorties when we ought to be flying a minimum of 200 targets or sorties a day. And so it's piecemeal, it's pinpricks. And we are just immunizing the enemy. We're allowing Syria to be a sanctuary, and he hasn't defined what his goals are there. He wants to degrade and destroy. Megan, please. Those are 2 separate campaigns. This campaign could be over in 90 days if we did what we did in Desert Storm, where we had massive air power, or in Operation Iraqi Freedom, massive air power with ground power.
But let me ask you this, Mark, because we heard at the top of the show General Mattis saying what we don't need right now is a show of American impotence in the world. Yeah. That would be provocative and that would be dangerous. The president knows that. The president doesn't want to see us go on this effort and fail. I mean, that would be, if you're thinking that he is thinking politically or based on the polls, what would that do to him politically and his party? What would that do to his polls? So he must want success. He must just have a fundamental disagreement about the avenues to it, no?
I would hope that was the case, but I don't think it probably is. I think he's being driven entirely by the polls. He was against doing anything when the American public said we don't want to get involved in Iraq, and all of a sudden the American public saw the threat from ISIS, and he's doing something. He seems to be reacting to events rather than driving events. A commander-in-chief, a leader, goes out, sets a clear strategy, rallies the American people, explains to us what the stakes are and what the consequences success and failure are, and asks Americans to follow him, and then they do follow him. And he goes out and leads the world and tells them, here's our strategy. The way you build a coalition is you go out and say, here are the goals, who's helping? And people will come and follow you. When you project weakness, politically and militarily.
But is this weakness? I mean, let me ask you, General McInerney, is this weakness, or is this the president saying, the American people don't want to get involved in another extensive war? I, the commander-in-chief, don't want that. So I have to do something. Maybe it's something more than symbolic. I'm going to hurt them with this effort. I may not completely destroy them right now, but I'm going to do something, and I don't want to be, you know, enemy number 1 in the ISIS fight over the next 10 years.
Megan, the president is fighting a political campaign on the reaction in the United States. The generals are fighting an enemy overseas and how they can destroy him, degrade and destroy.
But they don't think politically, and he does have to think long-term politically in terms of where is this going to lead the United States, and will this further aggravate our relations in the Middle East?
But what he is doing is going to further aggravate it. If we defeat ISIS very quickly and decisively, this will change the calculus in the Middle East. This will change our role, and this will change the role of radical Islamists. They will have been suppressed very decisively. If you try to do this in 1, 2, or 3 years that they're talking about, Megan, all he is going to do is build greater problems because there are going to be more and more radical Islamists joining the cause over there. This must be done quickly and decisively. The generals want to do it that way. the president wants to get through a November election.
Some folks are calling this the a little bit pregnant strategy. You know, we're sort of in it, but we're not really in it, and you can't really do it that way. Guys, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Megyn.
Meg.
Well, Scotland has been a part of the United